Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Macca's Talk Hockey Podcast, the podcast where me and my brother Charlie talk about English ice hockey, specifically the NIHL, the league we watch, we love, and enjoy. And today is a special episode. It is one of 11, which we're going to do, where we deep dive into every single team. And today's episode is going to be on our team we support, the Swindon Wildcats, but we'll do an episode on every other team, looking back at their seasons they've had. Last season. We'll be looking at the season coming up for them. We'll be looking at their rosters. We'll be doing the lines we think they should play, and how we think they'll get on next season. So Charlie, say hello.
Hello. Yeah, and we'll also be looking at the expectations. What drink did you bring today? Because I've already drunk my coffee and my lovely pink mug. What did you have?
I've got my Pepsi Max, the new one, the mango one, actually. So, yeah, if you don't know me, I'm obsessed with Pepsi Maxes. I can go through about 3 or 4 in a day. So, yeah, we've gone through another one for this podcast.
Well, I just wanted to quickly say a massive thank you for all the support we've had on the last podcast. We really appreciate it. And we want to get you guys involved as much as we possibly can. So tell us the lines you play at the end and speak to us all the time through all our socials.
Yeah, anything we say in this podcast, just give us your reactions and your opinions on it, because everyone's going to have different opinions. And I know there's a lot of topics we're going to talk about today. I'll mention them in a second. But yeah, everyone's going to have different opinions, and we want to discuss those opinions in a nice way, not a toxic way. So yeah, we're going to be focusing on the Wildcats, our team. So the order of what we're going to do it is we're going to look back at last season. We're going to look at some of the points, what we could have done better last season, how we could have made it a better season. Then we're going to go through the current roster we've got signed up, ready for next season. Which new faces have we brought in? And yeah, we're going to do the lines me and Charlie would play ahead of next season. Obviously, it's up to Coach Aaron which lines he's going to play, but we're going to choose the lines we think would be the best. And then we're going to also choose a player who we think will do well next season. And there's going to be other little topics as well, which we're going to discuss. So is there anything to add on that, Charlie?
Nope, we got it. So let's crack right into it.
Yeah. So last season, the Swindon Wildcats finished 5th out of 11 teams. And we were quite a few points off the top lot. Milton Keynes, the Peterborough Phantoms, but of course the Leeds Knights who finished first. Charlie, how did you find last season? Obviously, as a Swindon fan, talking from a biased point of view, because it is your team.
Well, I did enjoy last season. I think the way to describe it was ups and downs. But for me, I think we were good against the good teams, but we just weren't quite consistent enough week in, week out. And we definitely, by the players we've signed, I think we're making a statement to improve this season.
Yeah, I think I echo what you said. I think we had some good games where we obviously were the first team to beat Leeds. I don't know if anyone knows that. We were the first team to beat Leeds in regulation. That's the one we love to play on. But yeah, we had some really good games. I think we beat Sheffield all 3 times away. We had some really good games away in Peterborough. But we just slipped up in a few of the games against the teams who finished in the bottom half. And that's no disrespect to them, but we should be getting points against those teams. And I think the consistency level wasn't quite there. But I think, as you said, next season is going to be special. And we've brought in some new players. And I think I was going to ask you, Charlie, what are some of the reasons why you think it didn't quite go as planned last season?
I don't think we fully started off the way we needed to. I think we had a good first weekend beating Hull, I think 13-1, and we beat Sheffield away 3-0.
Which was an unfair scoreline, by the way, because they didn't even have half a roster.
Yeah.
The imports hadn't even turned up. But
we went into the season and then we got beat by Basingstoke back to back. And it just, we couldn't find the consistency from that point onwards. I think we had we didn't get the most points through our third line at times. Sometimes we had our top lines on the ice for quite a chunk of the game. And I just think overall the balance just wasn't quite there. We couldn't find that sweet spot, which maybe you'd say the Leeds and the MKs had.
I think we really missed that defensive core, and we tried something different with Bebris, and we're going to go into that because me and Charlie actually think there's a lot of debate about it, but me and Charlie think it was the right decision, and we still think it is the right decision for Bebris to play as a D-man, but we'll get to that in a bit when we go through the roster. But do you think we did miss Barmer, and we missed Lydiard, obviously, who moved on, who've retired, but he's come back and he's now playing for Bristol next season. But do you think that was a massive loss going into the season after?
I think so. I think defensively, I think it was just a different season. I think we had the likes of Barmer, who is an experienced, in my opinion, one of the top D men in the league. You had the experience in Lydiard, and you could tell when we came into the season, we wanted a new identity. We wanted to play higher press hockey. In my opinion, much more entertaining hockey. And at times, MK away, Leeds away, Peterborough away, Sheffield away, it worked. But other times it didn't. We couldn't quite find that balance. But losing them D-men at times, it did hurt. But I think we had a successful season. I do.
Yeah, I think it could have been more successful in terms of actually winning trophies and trying to. I think one of the most disappointing was actually we didn't get to the point where we compete in that is it not the Autumn Cup? It was the National Cup. We didn't quite get into the top four. But and the playoffs, of course. But yeah, I think overall there were some cracking games. I think we thoroughly enjoyed some of the games and some of the battles we had against all the teams. But yeah, there was a few disappointing results. Colby Tower, he came in, one of our first Canadian import for. I don't know who it is.
It's Mark Smith, the import, Mark Smith, the D-man,
Mark Smith, but even then, it was the first Canadian import for a long time who's actually come over from Canada or from America. And how did you find Colby? Because he got off to a bit of a slow start, but I said to you before the season, I really wanted a two-way player who could do the defensive stuff and he could do the attacking stuff and get points as well.
Well, Colby Tower, I'll get up his statistics because I do love some statistics. He got 55 games played, so he didn't get any injuries, which is never a bad thing. He scored 35 goals, got 33 assists, making 68 points, and got 49 PIMs. So he had that points to his game. And what I love about him is he had the same amount of goals to assists. He has that clinical edge. Yeah. For some reason, his backhand is stronger than his forehand.
Yeah, I found that. He scored a lot of backhand goals. I think in some of the videos which I record for the Cats, you can actually hear Charlie in the penalty shots go, he's going to put it on his backhand, and then he does. He puts it on his backhand and it goes in because Colby loves a backhand shot. And I think actually, what was it, 35 goals or 33 goals? 35 goals for an import. You're looking 30 plus goals for an import's a really solid amount. And the fact he got 35 goals is really good considering I actually think he could. There's a lot of chances where he could have scored more and maybe where he's a bit too unselfish. So yeah, 35 goals is really good for him.
For Colby, I think we haven't had a player quite as quick as him, maybe since Rutkiss. And it was nice to have that speed. On the big ice, he really did stand out. And I am so excited to see how he develops next year because I think the second half of last season, he was so good. He was on it pretty much every game. And next season, we get to see him a full season under his belt. I can't wait.
And he's going to be playing, hopefully, if now decides to play him, with Lubwele, who I think will be able to keep up on his wavelength. There was quite a few times this season where he'd be all the way up the other end of the ice, and the teammates would still be trying to get back to get on his level. So I think him and Gale will definitely be able to get that. They'll be, for sure, it'll be like Harry Kane and Son. They'll be getting goals and assists to each other all the time. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. Should we get into the Bebris as a D-man? Because I really want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Eddie Bebris, it got announced at the start of the season he would be playing as a D-man. And I think it was the right decision because we needed a D-man. And we've said in the last podcast, the ratio of good attackers and good forwards is there's many more of them compared to defensemen in our league. And I think that's purely down to a lot of players want to play forward rather than defense. So I think moving Eddie down to defense, you got a tall, big body player who's got the pace, he's got the reach as well, which is really important as a D-man. How did you find when you first heard about it, what was your reaction?
Well, originally I was shocked. But you look at he's 6'4". He's a tall D man, and I think that's something Swindon have always lacked in defence, is maybe a bit of height. That physical presence. No one touches the puck when Bebris has got it. He's got a massive stick reach. And I thought I'd bring up the statistics here. He got 8 goals and 40 assists, making 48 points in 56 games. So he was one of the highest point scoring D-men in the league. He was bringing just as many points as he did the season before.
Do you want to check the season before he got?
But the season before, because he got 41 games played, 9 goals, 34 assists. So it's a point a game.
So he only got
it's a very minimal difference.
Yeah. He only got 1 less goal as a defenseman compared to when he was attacker before. And I think Eddie Bebris is a unique forward when he is playing there, because he can do that recycling of the puck. He can hold anyone off. I think he could actually hold any player in our league off, because he's that strong, he's that built, and he's got the pace as well. But we moved him to Aaron moved him to that D-man role. And at the start, he did struggle, didn't he, Charlie? He did struggle at the start.
And this is one of the points I wanted to make, was I think it took Eddie Bebris 2 to 3 months to adapt to D, which, first of all, is amazing. He's never played D-man.
He's never played defenseman.
Age 30. And then he suddenly started to click. And Aaron said in the podcast on Banners on the Wall that Bebris, when he was on the ice, statistically, we were a better team, which from what I can gather means our plus minus, we were scoring more goals than we were letting in when Bebris was on the ice. And the best bit is, for the 23-24 season, we get a Bebris who knows what he's doing at defense for a full season. It's almost like a new signing in my eyes. And I think Bebris at D works.
I assume he's going to play with Whitfield again. They created quite a good partnership. They complemented each other quite well, because Whitfield's a different kind of defender to Bebris, because he just works hard. He's rapid. He puts all his strength and energy into it, whereas Bebris is a bit more relaxed. He doesn't have to go gritty because he's that big and that wide. But yeah, I think he is the defenseman we need. You said we needed a big body, and yes, he did. None of the players really had a great playoff game against Sheffield, including Bebris, which I'm really happy is going back to the 6 games next season, because even if you have a poor game, you can still do it in the next one. I just think, as you said, a whole season with him at defenseman, he's going to play even better, isn't he? And
he's going to be one of them top defensemen in the league points-wise, and that is so valuable to have a Brit defenseman who can pick up nearly a point a game.
Yeah, exactly. Did you want to go through the points on the Wildcats from last season? Just go through the points, because I want to kind of see where the points were shared, and we can talk about what were the reasons for that.
So we're going to start off with the main man himself, Mr. Thomas Malazinski. He scored 115 points. Then we go to Aaron Now on 96, Russell Cowley on 70, Colby Tower on 68, Chris Jones 64, Balint Bukowski on 58, Bebris on 48, Reed Sayers 26, Godfrey 22, Plews 19, Bullas 18, Whitfield 14, Loris Taylor 12, Floyd Taylor 10, and then Ben Neversau on 10.
Okay, so you can see from those stats that the top 6, they did dominate a lot with the points. And you expect that. You do expect that.
Yeah.
But I think going into next season, with the amount of depth and the amount of players, we have signed the right players, and we've brought in the right young players to play a lot more lines, I think. Or not necessarily 4 lines, but you can rotate a lot more. And I think we'll see a more even spread of the points. Do you agree, Charlie?
My favourite thing, which I brought up and I put it in some of the things, was we have 8 players who scored 50-plus points as a forward last season in the league, plus Reed Sayers. So there you've got a top 9 with 8 players 50 points or higher, and then Reed Sayers, who got about 33 from what I can remember. So you're looking at a top 9 forward core who are all very good point scorers at this level. And in this league, we saw with Peterborough last year, who won a trophy, they had the depth scoring. And I really think Swindon's strength this season will be in that third line, which can score points. Of course, we have the firepower, Malazinski now, Lubwele, which we'll go on to. But we also have the depth. And we've got a young, talented Josh Shaw. We've got a captain in Bullas as well to help us through nitty-gritty moments. We've got a lot of versatility which we can use.
Yeah, we'll go through the roster ready for next season in a bit. But yeah, is there anything you wanted to add on last season? We won't talk about the playoffs.
I think
again.
one thing which shocked me was Samuel Godfrey got 22 points in 55 games. And that's a very respectable total for a D-man. Plu's got 19. And I think we've got Samuel Godfrey who does get assists in D, and I think
he gets a lot of further assists actually.
Yeah, and I that did surprise me, but not in a sense I don't think Godfrey doesn't get points, but 22 is a great number for a D man especially, and we've obviously added to the D core.
And I'm assuming he might be playing on third line next year. We'll have to see obviously what lines now plays, and we'll give our lines a bit later. Let's move on to what we've been doing in the transfer market then, the business Swindon have been making. Do you want to go through the current... Actually, we'll go through position by position. So we won't say the whole roster yet. We'll go position by position. We'll do a little bit of talking on each. So starting with the goaltenders, Dean Skins has moved on. Has he signed for a club yet? I'm not sure.
We don't know yet. I haven't seen him at a club yet. So,
so Dean Skins has moved on. I just want to say he had a really good spell with Swindon, especially in that first season he came in. I don't think we actually would have won the trophy without Skins. I think he played a part in that cup run, and he was very good in that season. He didn't have a season of the standard before, but I think he was a very good backup to have. And me and you both said he was probably the best or one of the best backup goalkeepers to have. So we appreciate Dean Skins.
And he's a lovely guy. I've had some great chats.
Yeah, he is a really nice guy.
And I wish him the best in the future.
Yeah. But we've got the goalkeeper core of Rennie Marr, and we've got Tyler Perry from Bristol as well. Obviously, Tyler used to play for Swindon a couple of seasons ago. So what's your thoughts on the goalkeeper core going into next season?
I'm happy. I'm really happy. We've got a young, talented backup netminder, Tyler Perry, only 22, coming off a season with Bristol, and he's got the opportunity to play some games, get some starts. But the pressure this season, well, not pressure, but the main man is Rennie this year, and it's a big season for him. I think we saw obviously Gospel set the standards, and I think this is the season for Rennie to make sure he is known as the top 3 goalie in the league, and it's a huge season for him, I think. Yeah,
I think with Tyler Perry, I think he's actually going to learn a lot more. As you said, he's still young. He's 22 years old. He's going to be playing alongside Rennie this year again. And I think they formed actually a good partnership a few seasons ago when Tyler was the backup. But I do worry if Swindon do get an injury, if Marr does get injured, and obviously you never know if an injury could happen, and hopefully he doesn't. But if Marr was to get an injury, would you think we would get a new goalkeeper in if we had to?
It obviously depends on the extent of the injury, but I definitely think Tyler Perry can take games and he can win games, and he showed that in Bristol. He had a great game when he came down to Swindon during the season, but obviously the goal starting tendy is Rennie Marr, and it's a big season for him, and it's an exciting season for him because I think we've got a good roster and the expectations are high. And we've got a goalie who really could establish himself and maybe put a few shouts to some elite league teams. But we know how elite league goaltenders work.
Yeah. Well, we've got some moving on to the defense then. And this is key because you need in order for Perry to be able to gain momentum, because he's not going to be playing many games. In order for him to have those good games when he does play, the defense needs to help him, and the defense needs to warm him up to the game so he gets those shots. So we have signed Reece Kelly from Bristol. Let's just click on his profile.
I'll go into Reece Kelly. So Reece Kelly is only 22 years old. And again, for me, there's a key thing with Reece Kelly. 6'2". He's a big boy. And
he's in the over 6 foot gang.
He played 8 games for Cardiff Devils last year, which could have only done him good. And he didn't miss a game for Bristol and 51 apart from the games where he's at Cardiff. And he got 7 goals, 23 assists, and 30 points altogether with 50 penalty minutes. So he does like to enjoy himself. But for me, I love this signing. You've got a talented Scotsman who, in my opinion, Tyler Plews, they're going to get along very well.
Well, the trio.
Social media.
Him, Plusy and Rennie, the Scottish trio at the back. So hopefully...
It's just exciting, isn't it? Yeah. We've got a guy, and when he played for Swindon, I remember, and Jack will quote this, I remember one of the first games, and I was like, I love this Reece Kelly kid. He is massive. He hits people. He skates well. He dangles people. I'm like, woo.
He's still got a lot to learn. He's still 22 years old, and I think he will get that. He will make mistakes, just like every other D-man. He likes to be confident, and if we're going to play the way Now wants to as well, where he wants to push forward and he wants our defense to push up, we are going to make mistakes. But if that's Now's tactics, I think he is the perfect person to fit that role because he likes attacking. And I think the points he got last season, I actually think he could have got more. I think the back end of the season, he could have had a bit better of a back end of the season for them to push the playoffs. Yeah. I'm not saying it's just his fault, by the way, but I think he's going to be even better this season. And I think we could see him hitting 35 plus points this season. If he is playing, well, he might be playing with Blues. We'll have to see which lines. Yeah, a big body. Someone else I wanted to talk about, Jamie Smith. How impressed were you with him last season? Because I was very impressed.
He's only 17. But Jamie Smith, again, big body, like you said, it's quite, we didn't really have any D-men over 6 foot, and suddenly we've got 3 big boys. And Jamie Smith, the one thing I found really amazing about him, his composure. He's only 17, but he'd take his time on the puck. He'd make the right decisions. He does all the defensive basics well. And I know some Swindon fans would love another D-man. I love our D-core. I really like it. I'm really happy with it. And I think Jamie Smith getting the opportunity to play week in, week out against some of the best players in this league, he is just going to take it to the next level. I really do.
You said it there. I was so shocked with how calm he is on the puck. Yeah. He was 16 years old and he's playing against some of the best attackers in the league. And he's literally there just calmly tapping the puck away. And he wouldn't panic. When he got the puck, he didn't get scared. He didn't just move it on quick and pass it to no one. He'd look for the pass and he'd make the pass. And when he needed to when he needed to skate out, he'd skate out as well. And something I really liked as well, near the end of the season, he started to use his body, started to throw his body around, and he'd actually stick up for a few teammates. So hopefully we see that next year. And that's 2 players who are that's 3 players actually. Jamie's above 6 foot. Bebris is above 6 foot. Plusy will say he's above 6 foot, but he's not above 6 foot.
Don't do him like that.
But that's 3 big bodies. Godfrey's not that small either.
But Godfrey, you're not. No. Sorry, Plus. You're not gonna mess with Plus though. He's a big body. We've seen him. He sends people to the next floor, and no one would mess with Plus. In my opinion, one of the hardest guys in the league. So we've got, in my opinion, we've got a D-core where they don't mess about.
Yeah.
You've got the players. And I think if that D-core can click as a 6, you've got one of the top D-cores in the league. And I mean that because you've got Bebris, Whitfield. We know they work as a pair. You've got Plusy and Kelly with a point to prove. And then you've got Godfrey and Jamie. They're the lines I play. I know I've spoiled it a bit there. But them as a 3 pairings, I really like them. Yeah. There's big guys on each pair. You've got a skill on each pair. I do generally really like our D-core.
Yeah. And again, I don't want to use the word, but injuries, I think I don't think we're crying out for a defenseman. I don't think we desperately need one. So I'm seeing some fans, obviously that's their opinion, but I'm seeing some fans say, oh, we really need another D-man. But as we keep mentioning, the defense quality, to be able to get a good defender in this league is so hard. Like they're already snapped up by other teams. And it's really hard to get a really good defenseman. And that's why I'm so happy we've brought up Jamie Smith on a full time. He's going to be coming to every home away game because some of the away games he wouldn't go to. He's going to be coming to every game and he's going to get that ice time. And I think that's the way at the moment. Yeah. You've got to bring up these young defensemen.
I got one more point I wanted to make. And for me, this is a key point. Obviously, we've only got 1 new defenseman signing, but I think of it as 3, and this is just where I come from. So Jamie Smith only played, I think, about 30% of the games last year. So for me, he's almost like a new signing. He's 17. He's just going to keep getting better. Obviously, you've got Reece Kelly, who is a brand new signing and very exciting. And then you've got Bebris, who's playing a full season, knowing what he's doing at defenseman. So in my opinion there, it's almost like you've got 3 new defensemen because you've got Bebris for a full season he's got a year of D-man under his belt. You've got Reece Kelly, who is a new signing, and Jamie Smith, who is equivalent of a new signing. So for me, you've got 3 new defensemen.
And shout out to Stevie Whitfield, by the way. He is, for me, one of the most underrated players. And I think he is for you as well. He's one of the most underrated players in the league. He works his arse off every single shift. If we're losing, if we're winning, he works so hard. And he is vital to this team. I don't think he actually gets enough credit. And he is a Swindon legend. And he's been at Swindon his whole career. So he definitely, for me, has to get his shirt retired at the end of the season. And it is his last season as well. So I really hope that this is the season where we can win something, get to playoffs as well, because Stevie is definitely someone who deserves that. Let's move on to the forward call then, because it is looking interesting. So I'll just read out the new players who we've signed. So we have signed Glenn Billing from the Peterborough Phantoms. We have signed Russell Cowley again for a full season. And we have signed Gail Lubwele from the Basingstoke Bison.
And one more, the young, talented Josh Shaw.
Josh Shaw as well. Sorry, Josh. Yeah, Josh Shaw as well. Which,
can't be forgetting him.
Yeah, that is very good. So alongside the other one, the other players, we've got Sam Bullas, we've got Alfie Druitt and Lipsy as well, who I think are going to be doing a two-way. I'm not quite sure. Then we've got Chris Jones, obviously, Malazinski, Nell, Bally, and we've got Reed as well. So the forward call, Charlie, I think that's the forward call done, in my opinion. I think that's all we really need. That's 11 forwards.
11 forwards plus a youngster.
Plus Alfie and Dylan.
13 signed up.
Where do we start? Let's start with our first signing we made, which is Glenn Billing from
Let me go. I've got to go into Glenn Billing. Let me get the man's stats up, because in my opinion, this signing has gone under the radar. This guy is, I think, 16th highest point scorer in the league. He's 26 years old. He's 5'9", but that's not what his strength is. His strength is the fact in the 2021-22 season, so 2 seasons ago, 44 games played, 63 points. Then last season, 55 games played, 79 points. The 16th highest point scorer in the National League. He is only 26 years old. His two-way game is phenomenal. He's been working under Slava, one of the most defensive disciplined coach. And we have picked up this Brit. It's like a jackpot. When I saw this signing, I was shocked. I didn't see it coming. And we get to have this guy slot into a team which is already stacked of centres, by the way. And he fits into any top 6 in the league. And in my opinion, probably most top lines in the league. This guy, this signing, it just blew my mind.
I think the thing I'm most impressed with him is his two-way game. And he is not afraid to go to the net as well. I think Swindon have actually missed that over these past few seasons. Someone who's gritty and will go straight to the net no matter what. He will tip in pucks. He'll get rebounds. He'll get all those ugly goals, which are so important in games when the game is even and you need that just ugly goal to get things going. Glenn Billing is that person. But then saying that, he can also score some beautiful goals as well. And I remember I think his last season with us was the first season we watched. I'm not quite sure. It might have been, and he might have come through.
Before that,
he might have come through on one of the first seasons we watched. And even as a junior, I remember that game he scored a hat trick. I think it was against Invicta. I know he scored 4 goals actually, when he was wearing the cage. So Glenn Billing, what a signing! It'll be interesting to see whether he plays centre first off, which I think he should, and I'm sure Aaron signed him to do that. And who he plays with, which partners is he going to have as that centre role? So that's interesting. Let's go on to our other new one, Josh Shaw, 17 years old. Talk to us, Charlie. Tell him about.
Well, Josh Shaw, he's no. If you want to know Josh Shaw, he's the guy, the afro with a cage, and very talented. I remember watching an OHA game about 2-3 years ago, and this kid snipes the puck. He finds the back of the net. Last season, he scored 6 goals, got 4 assists with 10 points. As a 17-year-old in the National League with a cage on, in a team which wasn't one of the higher ends in the league. And Josh Shaw, he's full of talent. He's got a good work ethic. He's got the speed. And in my opinion, he's got a very good hockey brain when I watch him. Yeah. He knows when to dump the puck well, and he does all the basics right. And that's what you need. And when you're bringing in a 17-year-old homegrown lad who's going to get given opportunities for Swindon, it's exciting, and he's the future of the club. He's 17, like we've said, under 18 GB player for the last 2 years, I believe. And he's got a lot to prove, and he'll develop as the season goes on.
Exactly that. And I think the thing that impressed me most about him was his knowledge. And also, even though he's 17, he's not the biggest of lads. He'll still battle. He'll still push around. He'll still chirp at the players. Like I remember against the rivals of Bristol and Swindon last season, he was pushing players around. He didn't care. Like he was quality to watch, and I'm so happy that we've got him at Swindon. And I really think he can be that player who's just going to give it his all when Aaron puts him out there, and he can get a couple of them scrappy goals as well. He's another player who can get a few scrappy goals, but he's also got a really good wrist shot on him. So yeah, we'll definitely try and get Josh Shaw on the podcast as well. We'll give him a little message and see if he wants to hop on. Yeah. Let's move on to our final new player, which is the one me and you are probably most excited about. Which is Gael Lubwele. Gael Lubwele, who was signed from the Basingstoke Bison, and he used to play with Colby Tower. Charlie, take it away.
Gael Lubwele, 27 years old, 5'10". But this is the thing: 79 points he scored, 36 goals, 40 assists, with 135 penalty minutes.
Yeah. We will talk about that.
What do I think of Gael Lubwele? We have some Basingstoke mates called Dan and Taylor, and they love him. They fell in love with him last season. He brings everything on the ice. He is a showman. He loves it. It's his stage, the ice. He scores. He shushes people. He celebrates everything. But we're forgetting a key thing. He bodies. He is unreal at checking, and that's probably why he's got quite a lot of penalty minutes, but he throws himself around. He's got that temperament. He wants to show off, and I think Swindon needed a player like him.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to say that, actually. I think we've been missing a player like Gael, someone who is who will give it and will actually give it. He won't just chirp, he will actually give it. And obviously the penalty minutes was a problem last season. What was it? 135, did you say?
Yeah, I believe he was the second highest in the league.
So, and obviously some of them is just from 10-minute penalties added on and stuff like that. But they're still, you still don't want him out of the game. And
no match bans though. There was no match bans.
No match bans. And he loves to throw a hit around. And I think a few of the checks could have been called. A few of them should not have been called. They are fair checks by the law of the game. But he loves to throw his body around, and I think he will get less penalty minutes for Swindon. I think we are a much more what do you call it? We don't. I think
we're a very disciplined team. We always at the lower end of the penalty minutes in the league.
Yeah, we are always the lower end of the penalty minutes. We'll forget about what happened after the playoffs now. That was, but no, we are lower end on the penalty minutes, and I think he will get less. And I'm just excited to watch him and Colby. I think that's what everyone's just excited about, to see their partnership they're making.
There's a thing with Lubwele, and I think the thing which excites me about Lubwele is I feel like he's one of them guys. He loves the big games. They're the things he strives for. And in Basingstoke, they had leads in the playoffs. It's calling it quits. But Gael Lubwele, he loves the big games. If you want to watch some highlights on YouTube of a game which is just unbelievable, MK beat Lubwele. MK got beat by Lubwele's Basingstoke, and he scored 4 goals. And he celebrates every single one. He puts on a show, and I like Lubwele a lot.
Yeah, and also I must add to that, he is one of the nicest guys. I was doing some stuff for Lubwele. I think a few people saw my little announcement I did where I edited the faces on the people, and they did that little funny scene and for his announcement. But he is the nicest guy. Like, I've been messaging him a lot on Instagram, and he was down to doing anything for the social media. And I've heard nothing but good things from Basingstoke fans about how nice Lubwele is. So is there anything else you need to add on Lubwele?
I think the last thing I'd say is Jamie McElroy did a tweet. Watch out and keep your heads up, because Gael Lubwele and Tyler Plews are on the ice, and they love a hip check. So if you're the opposition, Swindon aren't going to be a team to mess with this year. I think we've got the toughness, and we've brought that in this team.
I think that is a massive talking point. We've brought in some big bodies. You've got Reece Kelly, who will throw his body about. You've got Jamie Smith, who started to throw his body about the last season. You've got Bebris, who's Mr. Cool on the ice. He won't get involved in the beef, but he's the biggest guy you can find. Yeah. And then you've got players like Bullas, who you can bring on, roll back the old Bullas days. And you've got Bally as well. You've got Bally as well, who Bally, I love Bally, but let's talk about Bally because
Okay, yeah.
he is someone who loves to show off for the cameras. He's
That
always
goal leads away. Leads away.
for some reason, every single time I'm recording for the Instagram and stuff, it's Bally who scores. He always gets on the Instagram and he always gives a little celebration as well. And I think he could do even better next season. We'll have to see which line he plays on. Is there anything you wanted to add on the team itself, or should we get into the lines we would play because we are running out of time a bit?
I think the final thing I'd add for about this team is we've improved. We've got better
Massively.
And I think the holes which we may have had last year, Aaron now has filled. And if I'm being honest, I've spoken to many people like Thomas Graham, shout out to him, but he has said to me, and I agree with him, this is the most excited I've been for a Swindon roster in a long time. You are looking at 3 amazing players to sign and a very talented Josh Shaw who's come back home. And the expectations are there.
Yeah, they are.
You have to hit the bar. There's no excuses this year for Swindon in that sense. The expectations are there. It's going to be exciting. We're going to be one of the topper teams in the league.
It's going to be.
As a fan, I'm buzzing.
Yeah, it's going to be competitive and we're going to lose some games. We're going to lose some games just like every other team's going to lose some games. But with the squad we've got, with the players we've got, the players we've signed, I do expect us to get to playoffs this year. We've got to get to playoffs this year, especially with the 6-game format where even if we don't have a great game one night, we can still make it back with the other 5. We got to get to playoffs and we got to get in that top 4 to get the cup. I think that's our expectation for Swindon. We got to be pushing for the league as well. So I want us to push for the league, obviously with my Swindon head on, and I'm sure all the players will as well. Aaron's built a really good squad up with how hard it is to bring in players. He's brought in a really good squad. But yeah, before we get into the lines we would play next season for the Wildcats, go over to our social media at Macca Talks Hockey on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I think the Twitter's Macca Talk Hockey because we couldn't fit enough characters on there. But go over, follow him, subscribe to our YouTube as well, Macca Talks Hockey, Macca's Talk Hockey. Yeah, let's get into the lines we would play then. So Charlie, have you got it? What's that? Sorry.
I have a feeling we're going to agree on the decor. So shall we start off with the defense and then go into the forwards?
Well, I think the defense is pretty bog standard for us. Our first line, Bebris and Whitfield.
Yep.
They did really well last season. I think they created a good partnership. Especially at the back end of last season.
Yeah.
Line 2, the 2 Scotsmen, Kelly and Pluzy.
It could either go really well or really wrong. They could be mental. I said to Jack, these guys are big bodies.
Yeah.
They are, if they click, you could terrify teams' other forwards. They are big bodies. They like to use them. Kelly's got that offensive firepower. If you look at both pairings we've said so far, Bebris, offensive firepower, Whitfield, a bit more stay back. Then you've got Kelly, bit more firepower. Clues can really focus in on that defensive work.
Yeah, the only worry I have is if you have them two, they can go a bit too straight into it and try and throw around hits left, right, centre. When actually you want to try and focus on the defensive stuff because you ain't going to be able to just hit players all the time. You're going to have Rutkiss pinging round them, and you don't want that. But I think they'll be able to find the balance.
I do.
And then the final line pairing, the third line pairing, Godfrey and Jamie Smith. I think they complement each other perfectly.
Again, you've got maybe more of a shutdown defenseman at the moment of his career. Jamie Smith, I think he did all the defensive basics, right? And you got Godfrey, who, like I said, got 22 points last year. So I think on all 3 lines, you've probably got more of a shutdown guy and more of an offensive guy. And you've got someone over 6 foot on each line. I'm really happy with that decor.
Yeah. And you can shuffle around if you have to. But I think that's the basics. On to the forwards then. So, right, I think the first and second line, obviously, they're your 2 main ones. But looking at the roster, you can actually get 3 really solid lines with players who could go in anyone's top 6, really. But yeah, let's go with. I'll go with my one first, shall I, Charlie?
Yeah.
So on line 1, I'm keeping the same top line. I'm keeping Aaron now as the centre, and then Thomas Malazinski and Balint Kosti as the two wingers next to him. I just think Bally plays best when he's with Malas because them two know how to play it around the back. I think Bally's stick control is actually really underrated, and he can go one way, he can go the other. And they've been playing together as a trio for the past 2 seasons now. So I'd play those three as the top line. On second line, I'd play Colby and Lubwele as the two wingers. And then I'd play Billing down the middle. I'd put Billing as the centre. I just think Billing has the drive towards the net, whilst Colby and Lubwele can ping down the wings. I just think that's the perfect second line for me. And then you've got a really strong third line. I don't actually know who I'd play centre out of Jones and Cowley, but you've got Chris Jones, Russell Cowley, and Reed Sayers. And I think you've got the two more experienced guys with Reed, who's still young. We forget, what is he, 22 years old? Yeah. He got 30-something points last season, and he's going to be playing with two. Well, in my lineup, he'd be playing with two really experienced players who can feed him the puck, and he'll just get a better. So I'd play. I'll go with Jones as the centre, and then you have Cowley as the.
Well, I'd go Cowley centre. Jones played winger for us last year.
Oh yeah. Sorry, you can have Jones as the winger then, and Cowley as the centre, and then you've got Josh Shaw and Bully as well, who I want to see play minutes. You can instigate them with. You can introduce Dylan Lipsey into that trio. Then you can introduce Alfie Druitt as well, and you can ping them out for 30 seconds because they'll work their arse off. Billy works his arse off all the time. Josh Shaw will go towards net. So I think they're a line as well. And if you get injuries, Josh Shaw and Billy, that's not a bad two players to get back onto those that third line or even push them up to second. So yeah, I think Bully is a good option and Josh Shaw is a great option to have as well. So that is my lines. Charlie, get into yours.
Wow, I keep umming and ahhing over these lines, so I can't imagine what Aaron now has to do because yeah, you've got 9 players who could play anywhere up the lineup. But this is what I'd start the season off with, and I'm going to go bold. I'm going to go a bit different because I like doing that. I'm going to go for a top line with Malazinski and Nell as the wingers, and then have Glenn Billing as the centerman. This line, it's got the experience, it's got the hockey brain, and with Aaron Nell coming off of surgery, no one knows what he's going to be like, so I wish him the best of recovery, obviously, but hopefully he is fit enough to start on the top line. But if he isn't, you can always play him on a third. But I think Aaron Nell being a wing is good, and I think Glenn Billing between them, it could be a very strong line. Second line, I've got the two wingers of Colby and Lubwele, and I've got the centerman of Chris Jones. And I really like that. I really like that line. I'd love to see Chris Jones in between them. So you got a top six, which rivals any top six for me. And then the third line, and I feel very harsh on Bally personally here. And this is why I keep umming and ahhing. But I would play Bally as a winger and then Reed and Cowley. So Cowley is the centerman. And I think that's got a lot of speed. I like Bally on that line as well because he's a bit bigger. He's got that body on him. And the fourth line, I'd play Bullas as the centre with Josh Shaw and Dylan Lipsey or Alfie Druitt. But for me, I think them lines are interesting. I do. But I think there's so many opportunities to switch it up. If I was going to give you an example of what I'd switch it up to, the other one which I keep umming and ahhing with would be Malas, now Bally. And then this is where people may not like this. I'd play Billing as the centre, Chris Jones and Lubwele, and then play a third line of Colby, Cowley, and Reed. So there's so many options for Aaron now, and these are only the lines we may play, but Aaron now is the coach, and I think he knows best.
We were talking about this because Colby is one of the best two-way players because he is so quick and he can get back. And if the opposition, if you've got Rutkiss counter-attacking you, there is one player you want to get back who you know can get back, and that is Colby. So yeah, I agree. I think Colby can definitely be used on the third line, especially because our team's so balanced now. And I think he'd still be playing with some top quality players. Colby on with Reed, and then you've got Cowley as well. And I think Colby and Reed played together a bit last season as well. So you can definitely switch it if it doesn't work. But I think everyone does want to see Colby and Lubwele on the same line. I think,
but I also think as well, and I find this interesting, is we say first, second, third
Yeah.
line. I don't think you have them this year in Swindon. I think you have a first, almost, if you know what I mean.
Well, I think the top two lines, you do have the top two, and I think Cowley, Reed, and whoever plays with them would really suit a third line, because that's what we missed that a lot last year.
But
we had
third line isn't going to play little minutes. It's going to be a big minute line. It's going to get opportunities.
The last couple of seasons, we've had Floyd and we've had Loris come in, and they're big bodies, and they do shut teams down, that third line down. And Floyd's a Wildcat legend. He's so good on the ice and off the ice. He works his ass off, and he'll throw his body around. And that's what he did every single game. But I think now you've got the option of having someone who can score a bit better in terms of, you can have Shaw, who's a young talent who can easily come on the third line. You've also got Reed, who's going to play on the third line, we think, and he's going to be able to get points as well. So I think it's just a fresh third line and a fresh line which can now add to the points a bit more. And I think we'll see, as we mentioned, I think you will give them some even minutes. And if you give those third and fourth line some minutes, it rests those top guys up. If you're going to send out, if your top line is what he plays, Billing, Malas, and Nell, you can save them for a bit, and then bang, as soon as they're out, scary times. Power play and penalty kill. What is the players you'd play on the power play? Let's start with that, Charlie.
I'm
throwing you in the deep end. I didn't mention we do this, but power play.
Yeah, you have chucked me in the deep end here. I didn't get a warning here. Brotherly love, eh? But I would play Malas and Now on the top line power play. I have to. I would play Billing in front of the goalie. I would play Lubwele and Chris Jones. That'd be my top line. It is lethal, but we've got 10 players who should be on a top line power play.
I think if the top line doesn't get a goal and you need to switch, you've got a really good second power play unit to cut. We're forgetting Reece Kelly. How's he going to pick? How's he going to pick with Reece Kelly, Bebris? Like, he's got Aaron has got a headache, a good headache though. It's not a bad headache. It's a good headache in what players he's going to choose. So I'm just really excited to see who he chooses.
I think the thing with me is, one thing I'd say with hockey, I struggle to understand a bit more. Hearing some NHL players and players talk, I don't fully understand the power play. I understand obviously the roles, but when you see players talk about, I've heard even Mosey talk about it a lot. The power play is just so unique, and I think you have to almost be a player to fully understand it as well. So it's something I don't fully understand power plays.
I think that's something I'm definitely going to try and look at next season a lot more in terms of how teams set up.
Yeah, that's what I want to look at.
For example, what's the difference between our power play compared to a Leeds power play compared to a Bristol power play? Do you know what I mean? So we'll see the types. Obviously, every team has different players, but we'll see what that's different. I'd play similar. I'd probably go with Malas now. I think Lubwele needs to be that shooter in the power play. He did it so much for Basingstoke last season. I think he needs to be the guy to take the shots, but you can also disguise it. So you got Malas and Nell taking the shots as well. I'd have Billing in front of the goal, but you've got Cowley as well. You can have this. It's so hard to choose, and then you can have Jones there as well if you need to. So the power play is very difficult, but the penalty kill, us two do have players who we'd like to do that penalty kill.
Yeah. So I'll give probably the 4 names I really like on penalty kill. I love Cowley, I love Bullas, I love Chris Jones, and I love Colby Tower. And I think the key here is you've got Aaron Now and Malas, who they're on the older age of their hockey career, and they are the top point scorers in this league. So let's rest them on a penalty kill, unless it's in the third period with 5 minutes to go.
And we need to shut.
I understand that, but you've got Colby Tower, Chris Jones, Cowley, and Bullas, who can be your top 4 penalty core, and it means you can give your big boys a rest. And I
think that's a role which Bullas could play this season. He can be that body when we need him the most, when we need to shut down some stuff. We can throw him out when some players are tired. And he's the captain. He's the guy who's going to be setting an example to the rest of the team. So I agree with those 4 players you named. And we might even see Lubwele come out on that 4. I know he killed penalties at Basingstoke last season. So we might even see Lubwele come out.
I think and obviously I don't think you chuck him straight in there, but I think Josh Shaw's a very hockey IQ player,
Yeah.
and I think definitely in games, maybe when you're a couple goals up, you definitely give him the opportunities
Test him out.
penalty kill, because I think he's the type of player I definitely could see developing into a very good penalty killer.
Yeah, exactly that. So that is the lines we would play. Before we finish up on the podcast, I've got a couple of questions I'm going to ask you, Charlie, and you can bounce them back to me.
Yeah.
Who is the player you are most looking forward to watching next season?
Malazinski.
Okay, take Malazinski away, all right? When you're not allowed to say Malazinski.
Yeah. If anyone knows me, Malazinski, I love him to bits. But most player I'm looking forward to. Oh, that is a tough question.
And I've got another one after that, another question.
I'll be honest, my Basingstoke mates have hyped up Gail Lubwele so much to me that I don't even know. This guy's the McDavid of the National League in my eyes.
So yours is Lubwele then, is it?
I think Lubwele, but I'm buzzing to watch Jamie Smith.
Yeah,
I loved watching him last year, and I'm really buzzing to watch him. Yeah, Lubwele and Jamie Smith, I think. Not forgetting all the others. Glenn Bitt. Oh, I'm
Billing
just buzzing
well.
for this season.
Yeah, mine is Lubwele because I think that's the type of player which I love, and a player I think Swindon have missed at the last couple of seasons. I think he's going to bring a lot of goals. He's going to bring a lot of controversy in terms of he loves to celebrate, he loves to get involved with the crowd, and I love that about a player. So Lubwele is definitely mine as well. But I really love Bebris, and I cannot wait for next season for him to, fingers crossed, I trust that he will, to sit down everyone who says he's not a D-man, because I really do think he's given an excellent season from D. And I think as well, we're forgetting Reece Kelly. Yeah. Reece Kelly's going to be playing as well in this team.
I'm going to fire a question back at you.
Yeah.
And I think we should make this for every team.
Yeah.
Who is one player who isn't a youngster as such, who you think is going to improve the most? Who's one of them players who may be a bit older, in the older years? Because we know the Reed Sayers and the Reece Kellys are going to get better. But what's an older player you think is going to have a better season? Who's going to come out and shock people, I guess?
I'm going to go.
I got mine.
I'm going to go with Colby. I think when watching Colby last season, he was really good. He was a great two-way player, and the points he got, the actual goals he got, 35 goals. I still think he could do even better. And I think we're going to see Colby with Lubwele, if that's the line he plays with, who's actually someone on his wavelength, who's quick and can keep up with him. So mine's actually Colby. I think he's going to improve even better than he did last season. He might not get loads more points because the league's going to be much more competitive, but I just think in general his standard's going to go up. And he's got a season under his belt now, so I think next season he's going to be even better. What about you?
Mine is Tyler Plews.
Yes.
I think that I don't think he had a bad year last year, but I think if I asked him, I think he would have wanted to have a better year. I do.
The 2 seasons before that, I think for his standards, he had a much better season.
Yeah, and I don't think he was bad. I think he got better with his body, actually. I think he was really physical last year, but I think he want to have a much better year this year. And I really think this is the year where Tyler Plews becomes one of the top shutdown defensemen in the league.
Yeah.
And I see him as a future Swindon captain when Burlas does maybe hang up the skates one day. Who knows? 20 seasons is on the go. But I think Tyler Plews is his season. I really do. Yeah. With Kelly as well, the Scotsman has joined him.
Yeah. I'm really excited to watch them too. The final thing from me is a question. A topic which comes up a lot, specifically from a certain fan base, which I'm not going to name because we can work that out from that self. But it is Aaron Nell. Aaron Nell, as a man, we love Aaron. I love Aaron. He's one of my favourite players to ever watch hockey. He's one of the most geniuses with the game. He lives and breathes hockey, and I know a lot of people don't really like him, and he does come across moody. I think that's just his natural thing, but he's actually a really nice guy. You can have a really good laugh with him, and I think specifically with those after match interviews, he can come across quite moody, but I think that just shows after a loss, it just shows that he just hates losing. And I think you can call him moody all he wants, but you wouldn't want a person to put on a fake fake persona after a game. Oh, we've lost, but it's right. We're going to. No, he's genuine and his feelings are genuine. You do get frustrated after a game, and I think he's genuine with it. And I think he gets a lot more stick than he should. He's come in, he's the player coach, and he won us a trophy for the first time in a long time. And he won the league for us in the first time in a long time. And we won a trophy the season before last. So I think he gets a lot more stick from rival fans. I think he needs to be a bit more respected. Don't get me wrong, some of the criticisms can go towards him, and there's always going to be jokes around. But yeah, have you got anything to add on that?
I think the honest truth is Swindon are always known at a lot of the end of the seasons of the team on paper.
Yeah.
And this year, we need to change that. We do. And the pressure is on this year. Like we said, the expectations are high. And this is a season where we have to succeed. And it's not all on Aaron now, of course. But he is the coach. He is the man. And I think it's a season where we have to succeed. And it is going to be one of them things.
He's done the first part. I think he's made a really good roster. He's brought the right players in. He's brought the players who I think we missed a bit, the type of players we missed, and I think he's brought those players in. So I'm really excited to watch it. This has been the first of what's that? Sorry, Charlie. Sorry.
Each episode off with one thing.
Yeah,
and that is your ones to watch.
Oh, ones to watch. Oh, you put me on the spot.
Obvious or not obvious? It's up to you.
My ones to watch next season, I'm going to go with Reed Sayers. I think this is his. I know he had a good season last season, but he's getting better and better, and he's going to be playing on a good third line no matter what, no matter who he's playing with, whether he's playing with Colby, whether he's playing with Cowley, whether he's playing with Jones or Bally. He's going to have a much better season next year, or an even better season. And I think we're going to see, as well as the stick handling, which is a joke, by the way. I've never seen a player who actually the puck literally sticks to his stick, but he sometimes he misses that final little touch, and I think that's going to be added next season. So yeah, mine's going to be Reed Sayers. I'm going to bounce it back to you, Charlie. Who's going to be your surprise, or not surprise, but your shock player?
My ones to watch. Well, ones to watch.
Sorry, ones to watch. We'll do ones to watch. Yeah.
My ones to watch is Renimar. Watch out for him. This is his year. This is the year where Renimar is at the top.
Lovely, short and sweet. I like it. So, let us know in the comments, Wildcat fans or not Wildcat fans, who do you love the most from the Wildcats team? Who's your man? And what's your unpopular opinion? What's your underrated opinion about the Swindon Wildcats? We hope you have enjoyed this episode. As I said, we're going to be doing an episode on every single team. So we won't tell you which team we're going to do next. We might do a little poll to see which ones you guys want. But yeah, we'll be doing an episode on every single team leading up to this the new season. So yeah, we hope you've enjoyed this one. Charlie, have you got anything else to add?
Make sure you get your questions in, and by the way, we will have this much passion for every other team, because I can tell you one thing: every car journey me and Jack have, we are debating players from other teams, debating all of this. So we have this passion about the national
I know
league.
We've started with the Wildcats, but we just love hockey. We love hockey in general. We love talking about players. And we love debating. Me and Charlie love debating. I'm sure with the other teams, we're going to be debating a lot more. So yeah, we're going to be really unbiased, because we don't want this to be all about the Wildcats. But yeah, we thought we'd start with our team, get that out of the way, and then we'll have all the other teams. So yeah, we hope you've enjoyed the podcast. Again, make sure to follow all of our socials at Macca's Talk Hockey on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, all of that. Honestly, we appreciate all the support we've got so far, and we hope you are enjoying them. So yeah, bye from me.
Bye from me. Bye-bye.
We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.